right, welcome back to Unlocked, guys. It's just been a weird day. No, it's been a weird week. It's been a weird year. Yeah, I'm ready for this year to be over, if I'm being honest. We're 9 days in. I'm ready for the year to be over. Actually, no. Okay, when I'm recording this is the 9th, so January 9th. And this week kind of sucks, okay, if I'm being honest, because the Sunday was the 7th, which would have been 6 years that Nick and I would have been dating if we would have, stayed together, which, popped up on my phone. So I think that put me in just, a funk for the week. And then yesterday, I went and signed up for personal training. And the trainer that I was signing up with happened to be a trainer that Nick and I trained with just a few times a long time ago. And he looked at me and he was like, "Do you not remember me?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "When your trainer couldn't show up, I would train you." And it clicked and I was like, holy cow, this is wild. So there's been all of these crazy signs. And then I went and got on my Peloton. And Nick's profile popped up, so there was that. I feel like it's just been one slap in the face after the other, and not the good kind. But yeah, and then Thursday's Nick's birthday, and Friday's my mom's birthday. So this week is just a week that just sucks, if I'm being honest. Just because I'm trying to process it all, I don't know. Big life events happening. Suck. That's why I was ready for holidays and this first part of the year to get over with. And it's tough because I think for me and the whole Nick thing, there was always something in the back of my mind that was you know what, maybe we'll find our way back to each other. Nick knew that because I said that in a song that I sent him. Not too, I would say, dates wise, it was a few months before he died that I sent him a song that was just hey, maybe we said goodbye too soon. Trying to test the waters, maybe. I don't know. I also think maybe I'd had a glass of wine or two when I sent that, but I sent it and he responded and was hey, so I'm dating someone and they wouldn't like that. Come to find out, the whole thing now is just laughable because it was so Nick. And one of our mutual friends crafted the response text message for him that I have come to find out. So I think there was part of me in the back of my mind that was you know what? Maybe we would have found our way back to each other. That's what I always thought. We had gone through a lot of things together. He was just amazing when it came to my family and standing by him and going with me to drop my dad off and all these different things. So I don't know. I've never had to really experience grief when it comes to death like I have in this situation. So it's I don't process things right off the bat. I wait and till I exhaust myself and then I eventually process them. So that's been a really hard thing for me, and to know that it's his 30th birthday and I just know all the things he wanted to accomplish and he wanted to be a dad so bad. And I think it's just so tough. Loss sucks. Grief sucks. That's why I was just visiting my dad in prison, obviously. And one of the daughters of one of the other guys is struggling really bad, and she's a teenager. And I told her, I was hey, you know it's okay when people ask how you are for you to say, well, I'm not good. Or if they ask how the holidays are, you can say, they actually sucked. And I kind of just want to normalize that you don't always have to have that picture perfect response. You don't always have to say, oh, I'm doing great, or life is great, or this event was great. You can say it sucked. You can have feelings and emotions about it, because by not being honest about it, I don't think you can really heal from it or feel the feelings or emotions. And that's something that I'm trying to normalize for myself. And it makes people uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. People will be like, so how were the holidays? I'm like, oh, they sucked. No one knows how to respond to that, okay? But it's okay to make people uncomfortable if you're living in your truth. That's my biggest thing, is living in your truth will allow you the opportunity to grow and heal yourself. And if that's what comes from it, great. It's okay. And that's kind of like the weird place I'm at now. I'm going to visit my mom for her birthday, so I'll celebrate her birthday with her. Again, obviously in prison, but not how we would want to spend it. But hopefully this is the last year we spend it. And in a previous video that's on YouTube, it's actually not on the podcast platforms, but it is on YouTube that we just released about a week or two ago. It's with our lawyer, Alex Little, and we speak about the appeal, all the things that have gone on in our case that are corrupt, and how we hope to see this end. And the dates have obviously been changed since we recorded that episode. And now our date for oral arguments in the appeal is the week of April 15th. And I am in the process of figuring out an idea for kind of like a Free the Chrisleys movement. And because the oral arguments, it will be an open courtroom. You guys can show up if you want. You can show up outside the courthouse. I'm going to maybe come out with some merch that you guys can wear and support mom and dad. And I can take photos and send to them. And I just believe that when we show up in numbers, we make a difference. And we show up in love and loving each other and just standing up for what is right. Sometimes you have to go against the grain. Sometimes all we need is just for people to stand up and say, hey, this isn't okay. This isn't right. What's actually huge in our case is it's come out today that we've had $1 million win against the state of Georgia, the Georgia Department of Revenue. And that should be concerning to people, that my parents are sitting in prison because of this government agency. But yet our family got paid $1 million because of their wrongdoing. So that should be alarming. How are you sitting in prison, but you're paid 7 figures from the government? I don't understand it. That's a tough one for me to swallow. Tough pill to swallow. But because you look at it, I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a case to where you have one arm of the government paying you for their wrongdoing and another arm trying to keep you in prison. That's what I'm trying to understand. And that's why politically I have started to dive deeper into things and policies and people, because I know what it feels like firsthand to experience the government corruption. And that's also something I've been dealing with today. And it's really hard to wear all these different hats. It's hard to emotionally, psychologically, physically show up, especially with everything I'm dealing with now. And updates on mom and dad. Obviously, I've been full force on all the news outlets, and I love showing up in that way. I love being a voice for these men and women, because I have family members come up to me in visitation and say, like, thank you so much for fighting for my loved ones. And then I have actual men and women who are serving time at these facilities being like, like dapping me up. And they're like, thank you for fighting. Keep it up. Don't stop. You're the only hope we have. And for that's why I do what I do. I may not be the most educated, but guess what? When you know better, you do better. My favorite saying, and along the way, I have educated myself. I've done the research. I've hired the right people. I've spoken to the right people. I have been lucky enough to have made friends with a top-notch DC lawyer. I mean, top notch, works on some of the biggest cases, and does lobbying. And I hope that through our friendship, we get to go and sit in front of Congress together, because we both know what it feels like to have a parent that's incarcerated. And that's my goal for this next year, is to be sitting in front of Congress and having those tough conversations. Because of my platform, I have people reaching out to me every day with information. I'm sitting on countless hours of recordings that people who work at these facilities send me, and it's damning. I mean, damning. You have them yelling racial slurs at my dad's facility. You have them speaking about abuse and all of these different things. And now it's my responsibility to not stop until that's heard, till those recordings are heard, until people are held accountable. Because let's face it, my parents are sitting in prison for something that like I said, I will always stand by the fact that they did not do. And you have these people that are lording over them that have committed crimes that are just disgusting and deplorable. And like, that's the tough part, is if you're gonna hold one person's feet to the fire, hold everyone's feet to the fire. I just encourage you all to, whatever it may be that you're passionate in, don't give up. Stand for what you believe in, even if it makes people uncomfortable or makes people mad. Stand up for what you believe in and follow the path, because sure, it may be the road less traveled, but it pays off in the end, because I know I can go to sleep at night with the very little sleep that I do, and I can feel good about myself. I can feel good about the heart that I have, and I can feel good about the fight that I'm fighting for people. There is, let's see, because I went on Instagram and I asked people what questions they have, and something that someone brought to my attention is, why does it seem like you're just fighting for your dad? Well, I'm fighting for them both, trust me, day in and day out. And what benefits one benefits both of them. But with Dad's facility, for some reason, that facility is just being ran in a way that it's making a lot of people mad. It's disrupting a lot of peace. It's harming a lot of people, and even people that work there. And so for that, people are just reaching out to me. They are giving me information. You have these whistleblowers, and I'm just getting more information when it comes to his facility. So for that, I am so grateful, and I'm so grateful for all the people that reach out to me, because it's helping me to build a case that we need built. And so I'm not just fighting for him. I'm also fighting for Mom. I want my mom home more than anything in this entire world. Y'all have no idea how many times I lay in bed at night and cry because I just want a hug from my mom. So I want her home more than anything in this world. I'm just getting more information about my dad's facility at this moment. Let's see. Okay. Some of Mom's favorite recipes. Will I share them? Yes, I will definitely share them. But we're also going to do like a fun little twist. It's kind of dark humor if I'm being honest, which I tend to do best. But I want to do YouTube videos on prison recipes. So Mom and Dad have exchanged recipes with me. I have how they make it, the steps of how they make it, the actual brands of products that they use. And I'm going to make these recipes exactly what they make. Some of it sounds disgusting. I just don't know if I can do it. But then some of it actually sounds pretty decent. So I really want to do that. So I'm going to do recipes that Mom and Dad make in prison, which lighthearted, fun. I think it's kind of cool. They're getting crafty, if I must say. And then, okay, are you going to get any more ear piercings? I don't think so. your relationship with your oldest two siblings, non-existent. Peace out. I'm good with that. Some people are just better left behind. I know it sounds heartless and whatever, but like I said, I try to be lighthearted about it, but if I'm being serious, I believe that people serve a purpose in your life for either a lifetime or a season, and if it's a season, that's okay. And I do not have the personality to turn a blind eye when people do me wrong or do my family wrong. I mean, it's like the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I'm not going to give people who have harmed my family a second shot to do it when I'm trying to build back. That's just how I feel. I have a strong relationship with my parents. I have a strong relationship with my parents. Chase does, Chloe does, Grayson does, and my grandparents do. And at this point, that's all that matters. So leaving that one where it's at. What happened with Gray talking shit about you? Well, if you followed me on Instagram, I think actually I'll try to save the story and maybe we can put it in the YouTube video. But yeah, I caught that little sucker talking crap about me because he was mad at me for disciplining him. So of course, which it wasn't even like, I joke about it because it was nothing serious. Let's preface it by saying that because I don't want people to run with it in an article. It was nothing serious. It was actually really funny because obviously I know the person he was talking crap about me with, and I just made a joke of the whole thing, and it gave me laughter last night. So that was worth it. Someone's touching on something that I was already going to speak about. How did Gypsy Rose get less time than your parents? That's some crap. So my viewpoint on criminal justice is definitely changing. There's a book that I'm reading right now that's called Reforming Criminal Justice, a Christian Proposal. And it's by Matthew T. Martins. And he is a lawyer at WilmerHale in DC, which is a huge law firm. And reading this book will definitely challenge you. It will most certainly challenge a lot of Christians, which is me. Because how can you be pro-life but not be pro-life when it comes to our prisons? And that's something that I'm trying to navigate through and figure out, because you look at Gypsy Rose and you look, yes, her mother was murdered. No excuse for that. No excuse for violence. Do not condone it whatsoever. But you look at it and you look at what got someone to that point. And if you do your research on Gypsy Rose, so she suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy. So her mother made her believe at such a young age that she had all these things wrong with her. She had cancer. She couldn't walk. She was abused as a child. So imagine becoming older and then realizing, wait, these things aren't actually wrong with me. And her mother was in nursing. She knew what medications she could prescribe her in order for her to have certain symptoms. And then one day they just left their family's home and with no mailing address, nothing. So again, not to make excuses, but I also believe mental health is a real thing. And mental health is not something that is addressed in our prison systems. Instead, we throw people in prison instead of giving them proper mental health treatment. And that's an issue that I have. Gypsy Rose is obviously out and about now. She's got close to 10 million followers on Instagram, which is wild. So people clearly want to hear her story. They want to hear what it was like in prison. They want to hear her truth behind everything. So by no means am I condoning violence at all. But at the same time, in a situation like that with severe abuse, and where were people holding her mother accountable early on? Why were these doctors not speaking up and going to law enforcement? And maybe they were. I don't know. I haven't done my deep dive yet. That's what I'm doing this weekend. So we will have another episode and potentially have Gypsy Rose on. And I want to do my research because I want to know what these doctors were doing. Did they call the police? Did they raise red flags? Because why wasn't someone protecting this little girl? And because of her mother's abuse, it led her to the mental health disorders that she may have had that may have led her to want to plot her mother's murder. And I know there's a lot of controversy right now surrounding her boyfriend at the time who actually carried out the act and how he has life in prison. So that's something. I don't have any anger towards her having less time than my parents. I mean, it's wild. Trust me. It is wild. I think there's no need for me to have anger towards her because, I mean, it's her life. I do think it's crazy that we don't have something more uniform that like this is the time you get. This is, I mean, 7 years for my mother for an alleged white-collar crime is wild. It's costing taxpayers so much money to keep them in prison when in reality, if you say they owe money, why aren't they out paying it back? None of that makes sense to me, but it is what it is. So, no, I don't really have anger towards it. The more I'm involved in our system, you realize how backwards it is and how none of it makes sense, and you will drive yourself insane trying to make sense of it all. Ricky wants to know if I would ever consider going to lunch. Well, Ricky, I go to lunch every day. Conspiracy theories? Oh my gosh. Someone wants to know my conspiracy theories? I will probably get canceled if I tell my conspiracy theories. But just know, I can be a conspiracy theorist sometimes, and some of the things that my brain comes up with are wild. Wild. And sometimes I actually think I'm right. It's going to come out one day. All my friends are going to look at me and be like, holy shit. You were right, Savannah. You were right. We thought you were crazy, but you were right. Just going to wait. I love hearing you're right. Oh, gosh, this is actually therapeutic. Let's see. Hardest part of loving during grief? That's a great question. It's hard and it's easy, and then you feel regret, and then there's all these different feelings that you feel. I think loving during grief is hard because you're afraid of losing someone again. And I think that's the part that I'm at right now with my parents, with Nick. I have more regret than anything because we were just kids trying to grow up. And I look back on situations and I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have said this or done this or acted this way or whatever it may be. So I think I'm in the regret part when it comes to Nick. With my parents, they're like the two most important people in my entire life. So I'm just afraid of allowing any love into my life in fear of losing it. Because that's the toughest thing in the entire world is for me to let my guard down and allow love into my life and then it get ripped away. I think you get so used to doing life solo that it's like, all right, I don't need anything, because if you're going to come in and then you're going to disrupt it, and then there we are, and now I have to start over and I have to heal again. And I spent a lot of my life healing, so it's really tough. But then I get to the other side of it and I'm like, you know what? Grief also teaches you that life is short, that you lose people. You don't know when the last moment you're going to have with them is. So why fight over the little things? Why hold back? Why not just express your feelings and your emotions and show up and go out on a limb and embarrass yourself and not care what people think? That's also something that grief's taught me. So I think grief's confusing. There's not a handbook for anyone to tell you how to handle it perfectly. However you handle grief is okay. And I think that's the biggest misconception is people are like, oh, they're not handling it right, this, that, and the other. Well, however you handle it is okay because it's confusing. Let's see. Where do you get your clothes? Well, what's that TikTok where they're like, Nike, Lulu. Yeah, that's today. Just praying your folks come home. You and me both. You and me both. Hoping and praying. God's got us. And I just believe that we wouldn't have gotten oral arguments if the judges didn't have so many questions. Will I ever go deer hunting? Yes, I would love to. I just went some kind of like bird hunting. What did I do? Dove? Maybe, I don't know. It's duck hunting. I went duck hunting. Are they the same thing? Ducks are birds, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I went duck hunting and it was pretty to watch. It's just hard for me to think of like Dad had a pet duck named Quacky, So that's tough for me, but we'll see. This episode of Unlocked is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. To all my podcast listeners, whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Some of these questions, all these people asking about my relationship, I'm just not going to talk about it. I mean, there's so many people involved and everybody creates all these rumors and my life's good. Okay. My life's good. And I'm realizing I like keeping some things private. Actually, I really don't. I mean, hell, you might as well, profit off of it. That's my philosophy. Some of these I just wish I could talk about. I just wish I could because they're wild. Wild. Because they're true. Y'all hit some stuff spot on. What car do I drive? I drive an Escalade because, parenting. It's like a bus. It's wild. God, some of the things that go through my mind. I think I probably have ADHD, I think, sometimes. But are my parents truly doing okay? I mean, they're in prison, so, wouldn't say they're doing okay. They're surviving, but it's tough. So that's where that's at. A lot of questions about Chase and his relationship, and I don't know, I'll let him come on. I've stayed very removed from it because, frankly, I got enough to say grace over on my own life and kids and everything and trying to build businesses that I'm just not worried about it. And I think we're both just to the point of like, we're not going to invest in each other's significant others until we know they're going to be around a while. Because I'm tired of these in and outers. Nanny Faye is doing good. She helps me with the kids when I need it, which I'm so grateful for. And she's doing good. She lives by herself in my house the first house that I ever bought. And she's doing good. So for that, I am grateful. Grayson, is he still dating his little girlfriend? No, he is 17, and I have tried to tell him, you're not going to be with him forever. I would love parents' advice on this. I really would. Because it's like, dude, you're not going to be with them forever. And then it's like, they're like, oh, I'm so in love with them. I love this person. But come on now. You're not going to be with them forever. And as like parental figures, you just know, you just know when it's the right person for, your loved one. And I'm just going to tell you, I struggle because I have a strong personality. And I don't know if kids just don't listen or if parents just are raising kids differently these days. But like, I don't do well when people come up in my house and like don't lift a finger to do anything or are not talkative. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. But whatever. Teach their own. How's my eye? Kids gave me pink eye at Thanksgiving and somehow they're miraculously healed. Some kid-ridden disease and I'm still fighting it. January 9th of 2024. So the funk from 2023 came straight into 2024. Oh, someone literally just asked me about my sex life. Like, people are wildin' in 2024. This is insane. All I can say is kids are the best birth control ever. So, people did ask, has this changed my viewpoint on kids and getting married and all those things? It's definitely changed the amount of kids that I want to have because kids are hard work, they're expensive, and I want to be able to show up the best way I possibly can show up. And marriage, I want to do it with the right person. I don't want to do it over and over and over again. So I want to make sure that it's right when it's right. And it's definitely something I want to do. I think with mom and dad being gone, my desire for these things is a little less just because I can't imagine it without them. So I try not to imagine it, if it makes sense. Will you ever run for office? You can be the change the world needs to see. I don't think I would ever, being a politician is not something that I would have on my mood board per se. I want to help create change, however that looks, for any person and anyone that is suffering from adversity and hardship. And I want to stand up for what's right. I want to stand up for what's right, even when I am being lambasted for it or people are telling me I'm wrong. In my heart, I know what's right and wrong, and I want to stand up for humanity and human life, and that's just where I'm at. So I do plan to help implement change where I can when it comes to our prison system, because that's something I'm passionate about. And yes, I'm going to be passionate about it long after mom and dad get out, because I've seen firsthand how it impacts not only the men and women, but also families. What does your dad and mom look like now? I mean, they still look like themselves. Like, clearly there's no Botox. Clearly there's a few wrinkles. Hair color's not great. But it is what it is. And two, if this has taught me anything, life is so not about all that crap, which is why I showed up with pink eye and in workout clothes today, because it's just, life's not about that. Priorities are totally different. Some of these people are just pervs. Oh my gosh, it's wild. Wild. Did you hear that Gen Z kids are taking their parents to their job interviews? What? Taking your parent to a job interview is wild. I wouldn't hire you. I think that's what's wrong with society today, is people are too coddled. Kids are too coddled. We baby them. It's, oh, whatever you want. Like, we're yes men to all these people. You get participation awards. Just for showing up. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe in that. I was at a conference and this guy said that we are taking disappointment out of everyone's lives. Out of children's lives, we're taking disappointment. So then when they become adults and they get disappointed, they don't know how to deal with disappointment. And I agree with that. I agree that there's first place, second place, third place. We're all not equal. Like, I know if I went out on a football field right now, I would get trampled. Like, I wasn't meant to play football. That doesn't mean I should get an award just because I came and played. So, yeah, that whole thing, taking your parents to a job interview, you're going to be living in your parents' basement forever if you do that. That's just my opinion. It is what it is. I look like I was crying. Y'all, it's my pink eye. It's my pink eye. So many people. There's some really good questions on here that I feel like I would get canceled for if I answered them. Should I move to Nashville so I can take the chance of running into you? That is the wildest reason to ever run to a place. Just message me. I'll say hi. Don't move. Don't move because of me, but if you are moving because of me, message me and I'll help you find a house because I am a real estate agent. Okay, last question I do want to address. Did you have to fight for custody of your brother and niece? A lot of people are confused by this. Chloe is not my niece. Chloe is my sister. That is what Chloe identifies with. That's what I identify with. And by the court of law, she is my sister. Sitting in an adoption room, the judge stated, when these papers are signed, it is like she came from you. That's what she looked at my parents and said. When these papers are signed, it's like she came from you. Like you had her. So she is my parents' child and she is my sister. Did I have to fight for custody of them? No, I did not. It was just an agreement that was signed with a judge and my parents and I. So I did not have to fight for them. But also, I would fight for them any day of the week. And when it comes to Chloe, she has a mom that is Julie Chrisley and she has a dad that is Todd Chrisley. And no one else has been a parent to her. No one else has showed up for her. No one else has sent a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, even a freaking card. So, no. Her parents are my parents, and she will say that, I will say that, and I will fight that any day of the week. And anyone that wants to go against that, I will set the record straight. Because that's just not true. Didn't have to fight for her, and I love them beyond belief. So there's that. And before I jump off, the next episodes, I'm kind of like nervous about. Well, not really nervous, but I have told, okay, so Erin is going to interview me, and it's going to be like an actual interview. I'm going to let her ask whatever she wants to ask. Y'all are going to put questions up. They can be hateful. They can be nice. They can be just curious questions. I will answer them. And I just feel like people want to hear, that's been a lot of the comments, is people want to hear more from me. So I'm allowing anyone to ask me any questions they want. If it's anyone in Erin's studio, ask me away. And I'll answer them because that's the only way you guys are going to get to know me better. And see what's next out of life. But until then, I'm going to binge Gypsy Rose and see what all I find out about this chick. I'm excited about it. So I'm going to go deal with my pink eye, go home, and I hope you guys have a great week. And it's okay to have a sucky week too. It's okay to say, you know what, it sucks. I actually encourage you to look at a coworker this week and be like, hey, this sucks. And see their response. I would love to hear what their response is. So until next time, I'm going to go deal with my issues. But have a great week.